Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept our humble obeisances and welcome to our Saturday morning Srimadbhagavatam class. This class has been hosted by the Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology, founded by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami for something like the last 30 years. And we're very happy and excited for our speakers today. Our speakers today are Their Graces AnandaRupa Devi Dasi and Jiva Tattva Prabhu. Jiva Tattva Das and AnandaRupa Devi Dasi are dedicated disciples of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. They are deeply committed to sharing the teachings of Krishna consciousness. Their journey with ISKCON began in Washington, D.C. 25 years ago. As certified Bhakti Shastra teachers, they served with the North American Sankirtan team and ISKCON Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya seminars and classes. They also conduct bhakti workshops and facilitate study groups to support spiritual seekers on their journey. Locally, they play a pivotal role in community building and mentorship at ISKCON DC, contributing to various initiatives like book distribution, Harinam, Pujari services, and outreach programs, and more. AnandaRupa Devi Dasi serves on ISKCON of DC's Child Protection Team and is the local representative for the Vaishnavi Ministry of North America, advocating for the well-being and empowerment of Vaishnavis in the community. Jiva Tattva Das holds a bachelor's degree in electronics and telecommunications from India and a master's in computer science from Johns Hopkins University. AnandaRupa Devi Dasi holds a bachelor's degree in computer science from India with professional backgrounds in education, project management, coaching, and IT training. They now dedicate themselves to the divine mission of sharing the holy name and facilitating spiritual education following the instructions of their guru. We love them very much, and I just want to add, we claim them also as members of the Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology. So we very much look forward to hearing from them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the opportunity, Madhvacharya Prabhu and dear devotees. We are eternally grateful for IFAST family, where we find solace and spiritual recharging on a regular basis. And thank you to Prem Sundar Prabhu for facilitating these sessions. These are very inspiring sessions and we learn a lot. And we hope to continue learning in the process. Devi, would you like to add?
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you, Madhvacharya Prabhu, for the kind words. We are very grateful to all the devotees. We feel very unqualified, actually, and we'll try our best to read and share our reflections from Prabhupada's purports. And this is just out of this gratitude from our heart for this opportunity, which has been presented, and we will try to make best effort, though we welcome you all to join us with your comments, corrections, realizations. So we plan to start with Jai Radha Madha in brief, and Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya prayers will be part of it towards the end. And then we will start with verse number, these are the verses from Canto 4, chapter 30, verses number 8 to 13. Is that correct, Prem Sindhu Prabhu? Okay. So and the way we are thinking we are going to go ahead is Jiva Prabhu will do the Sanskrit for the first verse, and followed by translation, and then Guru Pranati, and then onwards I will be reading the purports. He will be reading the translations, and in between we will share our reflections based on explanations, Srila Prabhupada's purports. And that will be followed by some discussion towards the end. So let's start. Jai Ram,
Jai Ram Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari.
Yashodanandana Jana
Yashodanandana Vrajana Jana.
Yamuna Tira Panchari Yamuna
Tira
Panchari Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare
Ram
Rama.
Vasudeva
Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya.
Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So Prabhuji, please go ahead with the verses.
Prem Sundar Prabhu, what do you? Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We'll be starting from 4th Canto, 30th chapter, verse 8 through 13. So, reciting the Sanskrit only for the first verse. Shri Bhagwan Vacha Varam Varidhvam Bhadram Vo Yuyam Me Nrupanandanaha Sauhadrina prathak dharmas tushto aham sauhridin vaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear sons of the King, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me." So before the purport, let's do Guru Pranati to seek the blessings. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarine. Hare Krishna, Devi.
Hare Krishna. So, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Purport. Since the sons of King Prachina Barishat were all united in Krishna consciousness, the Lord was very pleased with them. Each and every one of the sons of the King Prachina Barishat was an individual soul, but they were united in offering transcendental service to the Lord. The unity of the individual souls attempting to satisfy the Supreme Lord or rendering service to the Lord is real unity. In the material world, such unity is not possible. Even though people may officially unite, they all have different interests. In the United Nations, for instance, all the nations have their particular national ambitions and consequently they cannot be united. Disunity between individuals is so strong within the material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, members sometimes appear strong within this material world.
This night.
So strong within this material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, members sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions and leaning towards material things. Actually, in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be two opinions. There is only one goal, to serve Krishna to one's best ability. If there is some disagreement over service, such disagreement is to be taken as spiritual. Those who are actually engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be disunited in any circumstance. This makes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happy and willing to award all kinds of benediction to his devotees, as indicated in this verse. We can see that Lord is immediately prepared to award all benedictions to the sons of King Prachina Parishad. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, very important verse. And I also want to quickly recap what was discussed in the last session before we start diving in. Of course, here Lord is expressing his pleasure that the sons of Prachin Bharishad, King Prachin Bharishad, they are very much united in their purpose. So, in the last class, we covered some of the important aspects. Vidur is inquiring from Maitre Muni, and in the first 7 verses, that inquiry and further elaboration by Maitre Muni in response has been given. And there were many interesting topics were being raised by various devotees, Prashila Mataji and Sam Prabhu and Neil Prabhu and others. So I also want to touch on them. One of the interesting aspects that we hear in these verses that Srila Vyasadeva in his writing reveals that even Sage Maitreya is also a student of Brihaspati, the spiritual master of the demigods. Uddhav, we know, is also a disciple of Brihaspati, but so is Maitreya Muni, who is a very close friend of Srila Vyasadeva. And we were discussing in the last class demigod worship. So again, it's important that we understand that the intention matters. It's not that the demigod worship is good or bad. The intention to achieve a higher goal is more important than what we are doing. So why always precedes what? Various examples have been given that how gopis in Vrindavan, they were worshipping being Durga Devi in the form of Katyayani Devi to get Lord Krishna as their husbands. And yes, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaj mentioned to various devotees that they will be going to the heavenly planets. But then sometimes people think of it that way, that we get to enjoy more. However, we also hear the journey of Gopakumar, as Sanatana Goswami elaborates on his writing, that every opportunity Gopakumar was getting for better facilities, then he was spreading Krishna consciousness. And even when he was visiting higher planets, when he became Indra, when he became, one of the great yogis in Mahallok, as well as when he went to Satyalok and became Brahma, when Brahma was absent, he spread Krishna consciousness heavily, because that is the key aspects. And even though we sometimes look at the lower planets or some earthly planets, like Garud is, belonging to Kinnar Loka. Now, Kinnar Loka is considered lower than the earthly planet, and so is Hanuman, coming from Kimpurusha. So Kimpurusha Loka. So even though they are coming from lower planets, doesn't mean that they are lower beings. They are great devotees of the Lord. And Garud is, the carrier of Lord Vishnu. And Hanuman, we all understand, is Ram Bhakta. He is, glorified as Dasya. He's attained perfection in serving the Lord and pleasing the Lord by his service. And any opportunity that we get, sometimes preaching even, it is for our own self-purification, not for self-glorification. So that is an important piece. And the opportunity of preaching also allows us to do some introspect. Also, in the last class, there was discussion about the 4 sampradayas, because here the prachetas, they received Shiv Gitena. So the song,
Rudra Gita.
Rudra Gita by Lord Shiva. So they are understood to be in Rudra Sampradaya. Prithu Maharaj, he received knowledge from the 4 Kumaras. So he is under the Kumar Sampradaya. And then we are following Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya. And Sri Lakshmi Sampradaya, we hear so many wonderful stories about Srila Yamunacharya. So again, in the scriptures of many Vaishnava in Gaudiya Brahma Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Yamunacharya's teachings and stories are very famous. So there is also a saying that Sampradaya Vihina ye mantraste vipila mataha. So without coming in disciplic succession, the mantras that we are chanting, they will not have effect. So some of these important aspects have been discussed. And prachetas, they were carrying out this, they were reciting the prayers, Rudra Gita, for 10,000 years. And Srila Prabhupada says in the Prabhupada, not very auspicious, not very easy.
So can I
Yes,
quickly add
please.
something here? So we have some new faces here today on this call, and with your permission, I want to quickly add something. This will help everybody recap very fast in just 1 minute. So we keep hearing prachetas. Who are these prachetas? They are sons of King Prachin Barishi and Prachina Barhi, and they underwent severe austerities underwater, within the sea water, to carry out the order of their father. Who is the father? King Prachina Barhi. And what is the order? The order is to increase the progeny. Now, what happens is, once they go to fulfill this mission, they meet Lord Shiva, who mercifully taught them the prayers. The Prabhuji referred the prayers, Rudra Gita. So these prayers are to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So by chanting and repeating the mantras which were given by Lord Shiva, they were able to satisfy Lord Vishnu, and they also got his darshan. So it is these darshans, these are the verses when Lord appears in front of them and gives them the benedictions. This is the section we are at in this chapter. And the verse number 8, which we just read, is a reminder for all of us, specifically focused on cooperating with each other. This is so important. And it has very nice highlights, and it will continue for next few verses. So, and then if you go a little back, higher level than that, this Bhagavad Gita, the Srimadbhagavatam, is being narrated narrated by Sutta Goswami to the sages at Naimsharanya, which Sutta Goswami himself did hearing of when Shukdev Goswami narrated it to Maharaj Parikshit. So at a high level, I thought this will help everyone. Prabhuji, please continue about the cooperation. You wanted to share something from this verse.
Yes. So want to quickly capture two important lessons right here from this particular purport that we hear in this verse. First is that we should follow the authority because that empowers us. So this is a very nice way of reflecting. And His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj in his book Reflections about the 64 principles, as well as the one on Madhura Kadambini. So this is on the community building. And 64 principles for community. And then there's Madhura Kadambini. As I was reading, something came out that very much related to this particular, the lesson from this verse. He was referring to that when he had asked the president of Nigeria to write the foreword, he had to go through various ministers. And so he was requesting the ministers to follow with the president or prime minister, again, the head, to provide the purport in a timely fashion because the book was ready to be published. And he said that when we went through the ministers, we didn't want ministers to write it. We wanted the president to write it. Yet at the same time, we went to ministers so that we, going through the proper channel. So similarly, for a higher good to please Krishna, it is okay to, approach demigods from that perspective, if it helps us in our service to please Krishna. So he was identifying that, yes, there are various authorities and they're carrying out various activities, and it is okay to achieve the goal that we go through, those who are in higher authority, and not to upset them. Second is that these, the 10 sons of Prachin Bari, referred to as Prachetas, they were collaborating, they were cooperating very nicely with each other to achieve the common goal. They were not looking at individual goals. So they were looking from this perspective. So they were very friendly towards each other. And in this regard, we all have various different core competencies. So individually, we may have those core competencies, but we may have a weakness in other areas. So combining together the force of all the core competencies we together have as a group can beat any individual out there. So that is also being glorified here. And that friendly relationship was enhancing. And there is a common saying in India, 1 + 1 is not 2, it is 11. Devi, would you like to add?
So I was actually thinking of how devotees can apply this in day-to-day life. For example, Lord Nityananda's appearance day, festival is approaching this weekend. Many temples are celebrating. And throughout the year, we have many festivals, many opportunities, devotees, they get together. And even as we speak right now, Mahakumbh Mela is going on in India. So many devotees have gathered there in millions. And so here it is mentioned, Supreme Lord is saying, I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. And here, Prachetas, under the instruction of Lord Shiva, they pleased the Lord by reciting the prayers. They obeyed the instructions of their father, King Prachina Barishar, who was very fruitive activities oriented initially, but on receiving instructions from Sage Narad, he got enlightenment about devotional service. And then his sons are now being obedient and following instructions of the Father. So a very big message which we are revisiting here is we should follow in the footsteps of our teachers, spiritual teachers, Vaishnavacharyas, senior devotees, the authorities. The whole purpose of this life of bhakti is to please the Supreme Lord, to engage in devotional activities for the satisfaction of the Lord, to align our consciousness. For that, we need to follow in the footsteps. We hear about, Rupa Goswami nicely explains, Anukaran, Anusaran, and in Nectar of Instruction. And Srila Prabhupada further explains in his commentary that we don't copy, we follow in the footsteps. And then further, the principles are explained which are conducive to spiritual advancement. And what are those 6 principles? They are: one should have enthusiasm, one should endeavor with confidence, one should be patient, one should act according to the principles of the regulative principles, such as, we know 9 processes of devotional service: hearing, chanting, remembering the Lord, serving the lotus feet, Archanam Vandanam, offering prayers, deity worship, and then we have serving, in a mood of servitude, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam, in the mood of total surrender. So there are regulative principles, how to execute the process of devotional service for the purpose of pleasure of Guru and Krishna, not for self-interest. And so that we do, we exercise certain rules to seriously apply that in our life. And one of them, again, the 5th one, is abandoning the association of non-devotees and following the footsteps of previous acharyas. And that's the way. And through different ages, for example, we hear about Satyug, Dwapar Yug, Treta Yug, Kali Yug, right? Time, place, and circumstances we hear about. These are different times. Biggest characteristic of Kali age is described in Srimadbhagavatam, that people are, Manda Sumand Mateo verse. It talks about people are less intelligent. There will be a tendency to be lazy. There is tendency to be quarrelsome. And what's the 4th one? And in this way, they invite, they have short lives and they invite misfortune. However, here the Lord is blessing them and he's saying that I am very pleased with you because they are cooperating. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that the prachetas, they are in friendly relationship, and unity is so important to advance in spiritual life. So when, for example, if for those of us who offer services at the temple, like Pujari service, or even cooking and cleaning in the kitchen, in different roles in the festivals, and in, for example, this live program on Zoom, behind the scenes, so many devotees are cooperating. They are in cooperation to make this a successful program so that devotees can come and engage in devotional service by hearing, chanting, and remembering the Lord. So this is the way we can see that the Lord becomes pleased. Everyone wants to please the Lord. Everyone wants to have the blessings. Even in our professional work environments, in the communication, we hear and we talk about, do I have your blessings to go ahead and execute this, so and so. So people want to be validated. They want to be approved. They want to be blessed before, so that they can successfully complete the task or assignment on hand. So here, it's very important to understand that we are all engaged in one occupation, which is devotional service. And by definition of devotional service, the pure devotional service from Nectar of Devotion, we see it is, what is the definition of devotional service? It should be done the way Lord wants us to execute it.
Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam.
Yeah. I'm forgetting the first, what is that? How does it start?
Anyabhilashita.
Yeah. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulena Krishna anushilanam bhaktiruttama. So basically, it has to be executed just as the Lord wants it, just as he likes it, not like Kansa or Ravana. They were also thinking of Krishna all the time, but in an unfavorable manner. So at this point, did you want to add anything else, or
Sure.
we can go to next
Hare
verse?
Krishna. So I do want to quickly add few points. Srila Prabhupada, when he was very sick at the time, he did reflect that the love towards me will be shown. So I'm paraphrasing what he said. And many devotees know this. What did he say? How will we show love for Srila Prabhupada? By working together collaboratively.
By
So,
how much we
yes,
cooperate
cooperate.
to keep the institution together. This is, he literally said that in Leela, it's mentioned in Leela Amrit, Prabhupada Leela Amrit, chapter 52, which is titled, I have done my part. So he said, your love for me will be shown by how much you cooperate to keep this institution together after I am gone. So this good behavior, which, of cooperation, which we are so much talking about, it can just begin very simply. We have simplest instruction from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Tranadapi sunichena tadurapi sahushna amanena manadena kirtanya sadahari. So we have to learn to be respectful to others without expecting anything for ourselves. We should cultivate humility. Not everybody is gifted. We need to be honest. And if we lack that, we can pray. We can pray to have an association. We can pray to be connected to right personalities so that we can learn, we can imbibe that in our life. We have learned to be humble, to be tolerant. Tolerance is a big one. There's a whole art of tolerance, series of seminars, and this whole life is a training in tolerance at different levels. So I don't think it was easy. It's easy for someone actually to perform austerities, whole life of austerities, and to stay tolerant with whatever is coming. It can come in all different ways. So basically here, the Lord, Supreme Lord, is recognizing the austerities, yet he is very pleased because they have been in cooperation with each other and they have followed the instructions they have received from their father and Lord Shiva.
Hare Krishna. And Devi mentioned the word Anukaran and Anusharan. So Anushilanam is following in the footsteps of acharyas. And that can be done two ways. One is the wrong way and the other one is the right way. So the wrong way is imitating. Anukaran. Karan is like activities. So following those activities. And so by imitating someone's activity is not the right way, but by understanding the instructions, what is meant and why that is meant is the key aspects, because then it will yield the desired results. In this regard, Srila Prabhupada used to tell a very nice short story. Once there was a veterinarian and he had a assistant. So once he just hired a new assistant. He was called to help horse, who was sick. And so the horse owner, he invited him, and then he saw that the throat, was swelled up. So he examined for a little while, talked to the owner, and then he took out his mallet and he hit on the neck of the horse, throat of the horse 3 times. And then all of a sudden that swelling went away and the horse got up very nice, fully. And the owner was very happy and he rewarded him very nicely above and beyond his fees. So the assistant thought, this is easy, I can do this. And so he left his master and decided to go around and cure animals based on what he had learned. Now, in this very interesting scenario, what was happening was this assistant was killing animals one after another. And the doctor, the veterinarian, he apprehended his assistant. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you killing all these animals? And he's like, what am I doing? No, actually, I'm doing exactly what I learned from you. If the animals are dying, that's not my fault. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, I saw you taking a mallet and hitting on the neck of the animal, on the horse 3 times, and the horse was fine. That's what I'm doing. I'm taking a mallet along and I'm hitting the animals. If they die, it's not my fault. I'm using the same force as you did. So here the veterinarian says, you fool, that horse actually had melon stuck in its throat. So by using the mallet, I actually broke the melon into smaller pieces. So now it was able to pass through the stomach, and now the horse was okay. But you did not understand why things were being done. So Srila Prabhupada used this example to teach us that we shouldn't just imitate or just do what someone else is doing, but rather understand why they're doing what they're doing.
So that's a very important message. Actually, often some disagreements will happen as we work as a team, for certain festival or in the temple, whenever devotees are together, disagreements will happen. And so we should see it from the spirit that we have to take it as spiritual and not become judgmental or hurt or offended. Now, as I speak, it doesn't mean that I have the expertise to do that already. I also have my own challenges. We also get challenged so many times, but then soon after, after a while, we remember what our mood should be, why we should let it go and let Krishna. So I think this was a very beautiful message as we were preparing for these verses. Prabhuji, should we go?
Yeah. Before we start, there is a beautiful example my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he used to give. It's like sometimes we have even the tendency to speculate. So sometimes, we have the tendency to rationalize, rational and then lies, rationalize things. So father was teaching his son how to chant Mahamantra. And he said, okay, you have to chant Mahamantra on each beat. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go to the next beat and chant the whole mantra and do it. And next day in the morning, the father was finishing his rounds, and son, within 15 minutes, he came and said, I finished my round. It's like, what do you mean you finished your round? Did you chant on every beat? He said, yes. How did you chant? Show me. So he said, first I chanted on every, I chanted Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ditto, 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 ditto. So that's speculation by saying, misinterpreting the instruction. So again, we should avoid such a speculation as well. Let's go to the next verse. Thank you.
So we will be reading just the translation and purports. Prabhu, can you scroll up?
Thank you. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The Lord continued, those who remember you every evening of every day will become friendly with their brothers and with all other living entities. So this is a blessing in this verse. Hare Krishna.
Next verse.
Those who will offer me the prayers composed by Lord Shiva, both in the morning and in the evening, will be given benedictions by me. In this way, they can both fulfill their desires and attain good intelligence.
Purport. Good intelligence means going back home, back to Godhead. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita verse. Tesham satada yuktanam bhajtam priti purvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yen mam upyantite. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. One who offers prayers to the Lord to fulfill his different desires must know that the highest perfectional fulfillment of desire is to go back home, back to Godhead. In this verse, it is indicated that those who remember the activities of the Prachetas, the son of King Prachina Bharishat, will be delivered and blessed. So what to speak of the king? What to speak of sons of King Prachina Bharishat who are directly connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead? This is the way of the parampara system. If we follow the acharyas, we attain the same benefit as our predecessors. If one follows the decisions of Arjun, he should be considered to be directly hearing Bhagavad Gita from Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no difference between hearing Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so there are some comments over there. So there is no difference between Bhagavad Gita directly from the Supreme Lord and following a personality like Arjun, who formerly heard Bhagavad Gita directly from the Lord. Sometimes foolish people argue that since Krishna is not present at the moment, one cannot take direct instructions from him. Such foolish people do not know that there is
Such foolish people do not know.
that there is no difference between directly hearing Bhagavad Gita and reading it, as long as one accepts Bhagavad Gita as it is spoken by the Lord. However, if one wants to understand Bhagavad Gita by his imperfect interpretations, one cannot possibly understand the mystery of Bhagavad Gita, even though one may be a great scholar according to mundane estimation. So at this point, I quickly want to mention that it is our great fortune we have Srila Prabhupada's purports available for better understanding, for clarity in understanding. Srimadbhagavatam at great length talks about, in first two cantos, how one should hear in disciplic succession the Srimad Bhagavatam to derive the most benefit out of it. So who is a bona fide speaker? Who is a bona fide listener? And what should be the mood and consciousness? And why Krishna chose Arjun? Those, at length that has been described in Bhagavad Gita. So since we are following in footsteps of Vaishnavacharyas in disciplic succession, we are applying in our life the teachings given to Arjun in the battlefield. Our life is the battlefield itself. We have to constantly make choices. So we are all benefiting if we correctly apply those instructions. Krishna's instructions which are given, they are the blessings, they are the benedictions. When he says, Manmana bhav mad bhakto, he's giving through Arjun, he's giving instructions to us. And as we were mentioning earlier, we do anusaran, not anukaran. We don't copy, we follow in the footsteps, we follow the instructions. And many of us have the great fortune to receive the instructions from a spiritual guru, spiritual masters, so who is in disciplic succession. So in this way, we can develop that intelligence. We can develop the intelligence to differentiate, to hear directly how we can apply, how reading and hearing is same from Bhagavad Gita, from Srimad Bhagavatam, as long as we accept and apply the instructions in cooperation. So we can cooperate with each other as devotees. We can cooperate with the senior devotees. We can cooperate with Guru. We can cooperate in this way with the instructions of Supreme Lord coming in the disciplic succession.
I'm reminded of His Holiness Bhaktitit Maharaj's response to a question. Somebody questioned him, what's the importance of having a guru? Our relationship directly with Krishna, why do we have to go through this disciplic succession and have to have a guru in disciplic succession? His response was, if you're in a windowless room, I'm adding windowless. He said, in a room, how will you get out of room? You get out of the room by going through the door. Guru is that door. So that is a very nice way of reflecting, because we are in this material world and Guru is the external manifestation of Lord Krishna. He's explaining further in his writing that we have to take shelter of, and then he will connect us directly with Krishna and also make a plea to Krishna, so that even though we may have some faults, Krishna would accept us and further purify us. Yet at the same time, the responsibility is still on our shoulders. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. When we sing Guru Ashtak, the Guru Puja prayers, we are singing Sansaradava Loka Tranaya Karunya Ghana Ghanatvam. So Guru Maharaj, the spiritual master, he is receiving the benedictions from the Supreme Lord in disciplic succession. And just like cloud, we hear cloud pours water on the forest fire to extinguish it. So spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing blazing fire of material existence. But what do we need to do that to receive that mercy from our side? We need to be sincere. We need to cooperate. We need to pay respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master who is an ocean of auspicious qualities. So in this way, by cooperating and by imbibing the instructions from the lives of great souls, the Mahatmas, the spiritual teachers, we can also invite these benedictions in our life. So verse number 10.
Yes. Translation by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, we'll just summarize the purport.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, translation. Because you have with pleasure accepted within your hearts the orders of your Father and have executed those orders very faithfully, your attractive qualities will be celebrated all over the world. So again, this is where we are also hearing that Lord is more interested in glorifying His devotees. Devi, Prabhupada. Sorry.
Yeah. So, so the Supreme Lord is praising here the Prachetas that they will be also famous.
Mhm.
Why? Because they faithfully obeyed the orders of their Father. And in this way, they have invited the blessings of the Supreme Lord Himself in their life. So similarly, in our spiritual practices, our intention really matters. If we want to develop that strong faith, if we want to feel validated by our seniors, those who we have faith in, if we want to receive their blessings, the blessings which are flowing from the ocean of mercy, we need to obey the Guru's instructions, the senior devotees' instructions, the temple authorities' instructions. I mean, this can go on whole, in our whole devotional life, we have so many personalities who are there, who are in different positions, in the sense that these are the positions from which benedictions are flowing to us. If we obey, if we cooperate. Yes, Prabhu, you want to add?
And I want to add also, in IFAST, we want to obey Madhavacharya Prabhu's and Kunti Prabhu's instructions. And in this session, Prem Sindhu Prabhu's instructions. And the guidance and blessings of senior Vaishnavas like Egvira Prabhu and Brajlila Mataji. So again, seeking your blessings and continuing further.
But I think we have 2 more verses to go, right?
Yeah, yes.
Please go ahead, Prem Sindhu Prabhu.
Translation. You will have a nice son who will be in no way inferior to Lord Brahma. Consequently, he will be very famous all over the universe, and the sons and grandsons generated by him will fulfill the 3 worlds.
Fill the 3.
Will fill the 3 worlds. So here they are getting the blessing by the Lord, where they will have an amazing son, and that they will have further progeny. Now, Srila Prabhupada at other places have also written that they, even if, what is important is to get Krishna conscious children. And it is the responsibility of the parents to make sure that the children are Krishna conscious. And here, they will receive a son who will be no way inferior to Lord Brahma. So that is a great benediction, that they will have a soul who is so powerful, so empowered with such wonderful samskaras, such impressions, that the son will spread the glories. And not just of the parents, the son will spread the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that would make the parents proud. And here also further progeny. We don't want this world to be filled with, people with the mindset of cats and dogs, the materialistic mindset, acting on whims. We would always like to have this world filled with Krishna conscious people, and so that it can be Vaikuntha. Devi, would you like to add further?
So very quickly, I just wanted to add, so for those of us who already have grown-up children and maybe we were not practicing Krishna consciousness, so what is the hope for such people? So those of you who are interested, please write in the comments quickly. We'll come back and check. What is the hope for such actually devotees who are very sincere and who are prayerful and they want to cooperate and comply so that they can make spiritual advancement. However, they have loved ones who were not raised in Krishna conscious environment. They couldn't give them that upbringing because parents themselves got this little late in this life. So what can be done about that on a day-to-day basis if such loved ones coexist in the same household? What can be done for that?
Hare Krishna.
All right, text number 13, Prem Sindhu Prabhu.
Translation. O sons of King Prachin Bharishat, the heavenly society girl named Pramlocha kept the lotus-eyed daughter of Kandu in the care of the forest trees. Then she went back to the heavenly planet. This daughter was born by the coupling of the Apsara named Pramlocha with the sage Kandu.
So here, Supreme Lord himself is giving Prachetas instructions, who is the girl for them, who is a good match for them, and they should go and get married to her. And the background is she's daughter of Heavenly Society girl Pramlocha and Sage Kandu. And so further in next verses, more description, the story continues, how they meet, and then they further have a son who is good progeny. So, but basically we'll wrap it up here. Let's summarize so that we can have some time for some Q&As or sharing of reflections.
So again, what's important in this particular verse is that, to get such a nice son, there has to be a proper mother, and mother is the first guru of a child. So there is a suitable wife who will be daughter of this Apsara and the great sage Kandu. She will be the perfect wife. So she is one married to all the Prachetas, just like Draupadi was one wife of all the Pandavas. So in the very first verse, we heard about how Lord Krishna, the Supreme Person, Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he appreciated the friendly behavior and cooperation of the Prachetas. In the verse 9, we saw the blessing, where if we remember this beautiful pastime, where Prachetas were able to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by their friendly behavior, we'll be encouraged to build nice communities and growing relationships in our life and increasing brotherhood. Verse 10 focused on recitation of Lord Shiva's verses and poetry in the morning. Verses basically, shloka means poetry in Sanskrit. Morning and evening we'll get all the benediction, and actually we do have the same benediction in the form of Mahamantra, and all our desires, the spiritual desires and goals will be fulfilled.
So, Prabhu, I quickly want to add something here.
Yes.
Often devotees ask this question that, so should I go ahead and recite Rudragita in the morning and evening? Lord Shiva's prayers, Lord Shiva recited those prayers, Rudragita, he gave to the Prachetas so they may please the Lord. So devotees ask that, should we also recite these prayers considering such wonderful benedictions? And so earlier, I had briefly mentioned that in different ages, different solutions have been recommended. We don't have 100,000 years to live. We don't have tens of thousands of years to live. We even don't know actually in Kali Age times how much time someone has, we don't know. So we have been blessed with Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Even a child can recite it. Anyone can recite it. So so in this way, like Prabhuji was saying, that even Hare Krishna Mahamantra can fulfill all our desires. Though we have a list of namaprats, we should be careful about that. We should not just go ahead and ask for a bungalow on the beach or, promotions and whatnot. It's just for the pleasure of the Lord, to make the Supreme Lord happy. So please go ahead. You were summarizing the lessons from this
today. And verse 11 is where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is revealing that the Prachetas will receive glorification for following their father's order. Verse 12 is where the benediction of Brahma-like son and female's grandsons onwards, the progeny will be there. So that will also be amazing aspect, because they will be spreading not just progeny, but also Krishna consciousness and the glorification of Lord. So it's very interesting that Lord wants to glorify his devotees, but the devotees are constantly looking to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And verse 13 is also identifying that to beget such a son, they will have a suitable wife who is daughter of an Apsara named Pramlocha and the sage Canto. So again, in the right aspect, Lord is revealing that this would be the perfect combination. In this regard, from material perspective, I'm reminded of a story, because sometimes people, they speculate that if Lord said this, maybe this is a good combination. So once there was this Miss Universe, she approached George Bonasha, and she said, you know what, we should get married, because then we'll have beautiful children like me, handsome, beautiful children like me, and brilliant like you. And George Bonasha, looking at her, said, what if it happens in the reverse order and they become as ugly as me and as dumb as you? So we should speculate. We should understand the message should be taken with the right process. And when Lord is saying that she will, this girl will be the right benediction, we should understand that, yes, there is a benediction and Lord is providing his protection to the Prachetas and to the progeny that they're going to have. Hare Krishna, Devi.
So towards the end, I just want to mention that in these verses, beginning in verse number 8, the Lord is stressing on quality of maintaining friendly relationships. And whether it is a relationship with the spouse or siblings or elders or, devotees, of course, we talked about that. And all these relationships are endangered if we do comparisons, if we become judgmental. And we should try to see good qualities in others. So we have a whole chapter in Bhagavad Gita about divine and demonic nature, which is really helpful. It really provides a lot of insight how devotees develop the divine qualities, which is very pleasing to the Lord. And so we should never compare, we should never criticize, we should never blame. So there is a list of don'ts and there is a list of do's. And it's very attractive and pleasing to everyone's heart to focus on do's. But if we can keep a good balance, everybody can be happy in Krishna consciousness and cooperate with each other to maintain friendly relationships. So I think we will just stop here. We have gone just few minutes beyond the time limit. And so Prem Sindhu Prabhu,
Over to you.
over to you.
Canto Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anand Koti Vaishnava ki jai.
Thank you so much. That is so amazing. You guys really rocked. Okay. So now we can take some questions, comments. So devotees, if you have any questions, comments, please feel free to unmute or raise your hand or type in the chat. Yeah, I see Sam Prabhu. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mata, AnandaRupa, and Pitta Jiva Tattva. So nice to see you guys in such a nice class. Thank you so much. So we were talking about imitation, and I just wanted to share a quick story. So I'm reading Chaitanya Bhagavat again for the third time, and I was just reading the glories of Haridas Thakur. And so Srila Prabhupada always says that devotees always want to be like Haridas Thakur, and so we shouldn't try to be Haridas Thakur. We should learn from his example, because none of us want to undergo the severe things that Haridas Thakur went through. But there's a story where Haridas Thakur is there's a snake charmer, and he's playing in a marketplace, and so he's known as he's in the mood of Anantashesh, and so he's playing, and as he's playing, Haridas Thakur hears him playing, and he becomes overwhelmed with ecstatic emotions, and so he starts dancing, and he falls on the ground, and he starts crying and rolling around, and the snake charmer, he's playing, and everyone's really excited and really enjoyed to see this. And so there's a Brahmin in the crowd, and he becomes very envious, and he says, oh well, anyone can put on this show of crying and dancing and whatever. And so he goes, the snake charmer, he starts playing again, and he falls on the ground and he starts rolling around, and the snake charmer gets up and he starts beating him, beats him with the stick. He's beating him like really severely, and all the people are like horrified. And so then finally one person goes up to the snake charmer and he asks, why is it that when Haridas Thakur, he was falling on the ground and he was crying and he was rolling around, everyone was so like amazed, but when this other person did, you beat him. And so then he goes on to explain how Haridas Thakur is a pure devotee of the Lord, and so he was feeling genuine spiritual emotions and he was really like enraptured, but the other guy was just a phony. He was just putting on a show and pretending. And so in this way we should never like imitate, we should always follow in the footsteps. So I just wanted to share that, but I do have to go to another class. So Hare Krishna, thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you, Sam Prabhu.
Yes, Madhvacharya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Hare Krishna, yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you so much for the class. You guys, two things. One is I love how you work together. It's really beautiful. You know, how you really complement each other and set such a nice example. So you're giving us lessons in what you say and in how you say it and how you cooperate with each other. So thank you very much for that. Also, I wanted to say that just you know, I mean, you know where we live and you know what's going on in our society. There is such division. You know, there's so much uproar and controversy, and people are upset, and so much political anguish, right? And so, you know, the question is, and this kind of bleeds into the devotee community. You know, devotees have strong opinions on this or that, or this politician or that politician. So I just wanted your advice. I mean, I even find myself sometimes affected, like, you know, becoming a little apprehensive about what's going on around me. So I just wanted your advice on how to stay, how to keep respectful and good you know, good relationships with other devotees, regardless of their political bent, and also how to not be, I mean, how to, you know, be aware of what's happening around me, but not be so impacted, you know. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhvacharya Prabhu. You asked actually a very important question. It's even for us, it took some time to realize why, you know, how to exist and be cooperative. And one of the things that we learned is we have to understand the goal. Why is something happening, not what is happening? And that why can help us have a deep dive and remove those fallacies that are kind of like on the surface, disturbing people. So if we can distinguish those, then everything becomes very clear. All that, and by Lord Krishna's mercy and Guru's mercy and the Vaishnava's mercy, we are able to see things clearly. As we say in our prayers to our spiritual master, Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha, that we pay obeisances because he has given us the sight. And through the instructions, we see that the focus is on the goal, what pleases Krishna. Yet at the same time, it has to have the practical aspect. I'll pick up a very simple current controversy out there that's going on. DOGE, D-O-G-E, Department of Government Efficiency. Now, it has only one goal: to remove the fat, the irrelevant budgeting and the aspect that government is doing. And actually, this particular concept was raised right after the COVID started. but we did not see any action coming in that respect. There was a uproar to kind of like do this because people were facing difficult times with COVID, and they were still paying heavy taxes, not realizing that tax was not part of our history. They only started 72 years back. There used to be no taxes. Just with tariffs, the government would make enough to run its business. So one of the aspects, some of the fallacies that are coming around is people are not attacking the root cause, that, how the budget is to be spent and how can we be more efficient. They are focusing on, these people in DOGE, the government efficiency, Department of Government Efficiency, they are having such a background, or they don't have required security clearance. So they're beating around the bush. They're not really focusing on the key aspect that what is being revealed needs to be fixed. So such controversy is the nature of this material world. And people, they are economically affected because of these decisions. And it's just their cry out. And sometimes even to the level like some people are coming back and saying, why didn't we do it? They are very clearly accepting that we had the opportunity to do it, but we didn't do it. And there was an ask at the time, during COVID times, that we should be taking these actions. So yes, controversy are part of life in this material world, but we have to help each other in returning back home, back to Godhead. And so that if that becomes our goal, then we also understand that we can only go back home by pleasing Krishna. And the first two cantos of Srimadbhagavatam, Sridhar Swami in his commentary is saying, these first two cantos are the most important. We are like, wait a minute, 10th canto is, Krishna's pastime. How could these be the most important? But then we also realize by the writing of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that these are the lotus feet of Lord Krishna they represent. And the lotus feet of Krishna is Vaikuntha. It's place where there's no kunta, where there's no anxiety, no conflict. There's again no material envy. Yes, in spiritual world we still see envy. We still see, Radharani's group and Chandravali's group and all that. But that is spiritual competition to please Krishna. Who can please Krishna more? And that is healthy. That is a good competition to have. So again, we just have to understand things with proper guidance. And this is where guidance is also very important. His Holiness Bhakti Tirth Maharaj also explains some in his writing on reflections. He was giving this example that sometimes when a young girl, she is married and she has a child at a very young age, and he was reflecting it to be the state of spiritual masters, at that time during, in early 90s or even early 80s, is like if the girl is thinking, oh, I'm still a child because she's just 13 years old, then the baby would suffer because she won't feel competent enough to take care of the baby. And if she doesn't think that I'm a mother, then she won't be able to develop herself fully. So what is the best course of action for her is to take help from those who are elders. So we have to constantly seek guidance and support. And the cooperation comes with unity and following the instructions of the spiritual masters. So again, the acharyas, the Vaishnavas, and it is without any arguments. Asking question is not bad. Asking question is actually a sign of intelligence. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is asking question. In Bhagavatam, we see Parikshit Maharaj asking questions, Shanaka Rishi representing the sages asking questions, even Vidura, he is asking questions. So the personality is asking questions to better understand things. Does that answer your question, Prabhu? Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Jiva Mataji and Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol Prabhu's. I was waiting for you, Prema Sindhu Prabhu. However, I said, okay, I'll just go ahead. I just want to firstly, I want to thank Madhavacharya Prabhu for his humility and just that mood of appreciation that he has for everyone that comes to share on this class. He's such a wonderful example of, yeah, just taking that mood of simplicity and humility. Thank you, Madhava Prabhu. Yes, Jiva Tattva Prabhu, and your wife, I was just thinking, AnandaRupa, how the verses are talking, well, the first verse is talking about cooperation, and you emphasize so much about friendly relationships. And as I was listening to both of you, I was seeing Jiva Tattva Prabhu's smile, that even if there was some periods of not cooperating, now just by watching him smile, anybody that's listening or watching the both of you would yeah, just positively connect with the two of you because of him smiling, and how much in that smile I at least I could understand that he was giving you that opportunity to have your voice. So even the reason this came to my attention is because of the 11th verse, where it says here that that the Prachetas, they accepted with pleasure. They executed the orders of the Father with pleasure. And so what I could see from this mood of cooperation between the two of you and sharing the contents of these verses was that you were sharing with pleasure. And that was very touching to my heart. Yeah, so thank you. I don't necessarily have a question, but I was just having it just brought up a lot of realizations in my heart when I was hearing you speak. And when you're speaking about children, for example, you mentioned about, I think in the in the 8th verse, you're mentioning about the how do we, or was it maybe the 8th or 9th verse? How do we understand, like, when we have children that are born from parents that may not have practiced Krishna consciousness until later? And so that brings me to this point of when we hear with pleasure, because we have examples of that even today. For example, we have one of our god brother, Advaita Acharya Prabhu, who heard from his spiritual master with pleasure throughout the time that he was under the guidance of his spiritual master. And now today, he is a spiritual master himself, and he will be doing his first initiation at Sadhu Sangha this year. So we have these modern day examples to show us how, you know, this mood and the sastra is exemplified, is going on even today. So thank you. And thank you, Jiva Tattva Prabhu, for all your stories. I think that gives me a lot of realization. It makes me think a lot about these different verses you both shared. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji Mataji. Devi.
I'll reiterate that.
She's saying something.
Thank
Yeah,
both of
Prabhu.
I always appreciate your stories. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your kind words. It's a big inspiration for us. We ourselves take inspirations from you, how you collaborate and present all different teachings and classes. You know, and it's a pleasure to listen to you always. So it was a beautiful reminder for us to actually, I just realized as you were speaking, I realized I asked a question during the talk we were having, and because that is a situation which many devotees face. And one of the biggest thing as couples, as parents, we all can do is cooperate with each other, have good relationship for others to watch, even though we may not be like doing it to demonstrate to them, but you know, just as a part of our spiritual lifestyle, we can be careful to be more tolerant. We can be careful to be respectful for everyone. That itself is a very good example for others who, you know, who unintentionally, unknowingly may start absorbing that. So thank you. So do we have anyone else?
There
who
is a
wants to
question.
share?
Is
Yes.
it okay if I
Chaitanya Prabhu?
respond? Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So Chaitanya Krishna Prabhu, he wrote, there are so many cautions against imitating throughout our text. What is the source of this propensity to imitate? So in this regard, as I was reading, there can be three responses. When somebody acts, one could be acting in true, which is in the right mood to please. So they're good. Another response would be that they are becoming agnostic and they oppose those, who are spreading Krishna consciousness. And the ones that are in the middle are thinking, how can I get what they are getting, but not have to work as hard as, those who are getting that recognition. So they try to imitate. So this is about I and my on the bodily platform. So such people are looking for glorification. They're looking for attention. And His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, in his writings and reflections, he writes very nicely that the people, they are just looking for love, but they don't know how to get it. They're actually deprived of. So sometimes they attack others, because they see those other people are getting love. And he gave the example that there may be two persons, they have joined at the same time, both were brahmacharis. One took to grihastha life and finding it very hard to survive with children and wife and all the responsibilities that comes with grihastha ashram, while the other one may have matured and taken to sannyas ashram and have become a spiritual master and is traveling around, while this grihastha sees his, friend who's now a spiritual master, he feels like, I'm finding it difficult to even put bread and butter for my family, while every time this, the spiritual master, his friend is now coming to the temple and people are bringing mahabhoga, mahaprasadam for him, taking him around in the cars and giving him so much attention. So there could be a response of, denying or, saying that, he came sometimes even the sannyasi may have joined the movement after the grihastha. So there's a mood of opposing and trying to show. So it can come out in two ways, trying to oppose in very harsh words or belittling the other person, or trying to behave. The second response would be try to behave like that person. And sometimes Srila Prabhupada, he was approached by some of the Grihastha disciples who just wanted to take sannyas because they couldn't, carry out the responsibilities that came with the Grihastha ashram. And Srila Prabhupada understood. He immediately rejected that proposal and he encouraged them to stay in the Grihastha ashram and carry out their duties, while these Grihasthas, they were feeling that only if I could just become sannyasi and spiritual master, I'll get all these great glories and I'll be served by others and all. And that's not the true mood in Grihastha ashram. Grihastha ashram, the three stakes, three danda sannyasi, as we call, is to dedicate your mind, body, and words, your speech, for the pleasure of Krishna. So you're actually sacrificing every moment to please Krishna. And depending on whatever you're getting, you're still staying happy. And I witnessed this always being self-satisfied, being an Atmaram. In the case of, this is about a decade back, His Holiness Jiva Swami was visiting ISKCON of DC. And he had a very, I would say, new associate who was taking care of him, was traveling with him. And so this associate who was taking care was trying to get prasad for Maharaj. At that particular time, it was just that the temple authorities, they were like doing different other activities, and there was no prasad left. And he was standing outside, and this gentleman was asking, and we were trying to see if we can find anything, but there was nothing in the kitchen. The kitchen was like at that period of time, just clean and everything was wrapped up. There was nothing in the refrigerator. So when we told him and we paid obeisances to His Holiness and informed him that we'll try to get something, he's like, no, I'm fine. whatever Krishna desires. So we was able to see that here's the personality who is just focusing on Krishna, and he was very saying, compassionate even to that person who was like new and who could not coordinate to make sure that Maharaj gets, proper prasadam. But he was being very compassionate and he was guiding. So he was saying, you should, for next time, please, because he was not so much concerned that he didn't get to it. He was more concerned that this associate, his companion, didn't get to it as well. So he was giving him guidance that you should, go to one of the devotees' house or so forth and try to find some prasadam. Hare Krishna. So this propensity is because of I and mine. When we reflect with the body, that I am so and so person, I have so many, and that causes envy because there are various upadhis, they come with the body. I'm a man, I'm American, I'm a so and so. And then lust, which is like mine, causes it, the lust aspect is with respect to this is mine. So one becomes envy because of I aspect and lusty because of my aspect. And they are enough to pollute. And actually all other anarthas, Kam, Krodh, Lobha, Manmasa, lust, anger, pride, envy, greed, and delusion, they all actually arise from these two, I and mine. Hare Krishna, hopefully that answers your question.
Hare Krishna. I guess Rajradha wants to make a
There's
comment.
a comment from Mitravanda Mataji. It's not a
Okay.
question. You want to...
Beyond respect, tolerance, etc., in the mood of Lord's Chaitanya, we must care. Yes. Yeah, so this is a life of training actually to improve and to become better in different ways. And because all of us may not, like I said earlier, may not be gifted with these qualities. So that is why we seek like a bumblebee, like it's mentioned in our scriptures. Bumblebee seeks for nectar, we seek for that sadhu sangha. Yes, Rajradha, Prabhu, please go ahead. Did you want to say something?
Sorry, I was having a hard time unmuting myself. Thank you, Mataji, Prabhuji, for such wonderful class. I was reminded of the statement by Radhanath Swami. I watched a video long time back in Mumbai where they have had a documentary on Chowpatty Temple, on how they developed Chowpatty Temple. And the documentary is called Simple Temple. Mm-hmm. It's on YouTube. So this, I was reminded of this when you were mentioning about two friends, one who took sannyas and one entered householder ashram. It's Radhanath Swami was training his householder disciples, and he was training his Brahmachari disciples, both of them simultaneously. And they said what Radhanath Swami told them, that the household, there was a lot of friction between the two ashramas in the beginning. But then what happened is Radhanath Swami told the people who left their homes and they are in saffron serving at the temple, Maharaj used to tell them, look, there are so many opportunities for the householder ashram to engage into sense gratification. They have so many responsibilities. Despite of all of this, they come to the temple and they serve so much in the temple. So we should respect them. We should respect them because they are struggling with so many things, yet they choose to serve the Lord in spite of everything. And then he used to tell the householders that, look at them, like they have left all their parents, their family members who would care for them. So, and they have come here depending on us. So we should take care of them like parents. So this is how he solved the friction between both the ashramas, which was a challenge in the beginning. So I feel like from what I've heard also from my Gurujanas, like Gurujanas meaning senior Vaishnavas whom we take instructions from, is that householder ashram is not an impediment to devotional service. It is in fact like it's out in the war zone. Like I know AnandaRupa Mataji were saying that somebody should write in the comments if your children are grown up and you came into bhakti later. I'm not sure. I left the meeting in between and I joined. If somebody posted that, but even non-devotee members of the family are not an impediment in devotional service, because I heard one of my senior Vaishnavas mentor who tell me, anybody can stop you from, like, chanting. Anybody can stop you from going to the temple. Anybody can stop you from doing many external activities. Can they stop you from thinking about the Lord? Can they stop you from thinking about the Lord? So you should have that mindset. Like, your Krishna consciousness is not dependent on your ashram, like sannyas ashram or brahmachari ashram. Yes, the opportunities are more in certain, but opportunities can be availed in any ashram the way it could be in sannyas ashram. So just wanted to share my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And in this book, The Journey Within, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, he talks about the redwood forest. How do these redwood forest, they are so huge, and they've been there. Some of them have been there for thousands of years. And it's very interesting that their roots don't run deep in the ground. They go literally. So he was hearing one park ranger discussing this, that these gigantic trees, which are so huge, are not having great depths, but rather are connecting with all other trees, and they're creating this network of roots and even the small plant that comes up is connected through those roots and gets proper nourishment. And even though so many storms come and go, they stand together. So united we stand, divided we fall. A very perfect example right there from the trees that we hear. And this particular canto, this particular chapter is all about trees. So later on, we'll see how those trees, are responding to the absence of one who's absent, like the administrators. So when there is, rogues run wild when there is no administration. So that also we hear about in this canto. So that's wonderful example. And His Holiness Bhakti Tirth Maharaj, and I have put some bookmarks over there. So you certainly reminded me. Forgot to share this. He writes, we all come together as a community to honor the different samskaras, including the sannyasis, brahmacharis, brahmacharinis, and householders. When we are fixed in our ashram, we are very happy to see others also honoring their ashram properly. When we are not fixed in ashram, then we do not want to think about the other ashrams, and we do not want to understand how we are a family. We are not just workaholics, we are a family of spiritual warriors involved in spreading the mission. It is not that the brahmacharis and brahmacharinis must disappear and hide when there is a marriage. That is strange. If someone is undergoing a bona fide rite of passage, then as family members, we want to honor their transition just as they should honor and support others. And actually, this pastime of prachetas, getting married and getting progeny, sometimes we were discussing, and there was, still we see, the innocence of young generation. They say, but, marriage life is Maya. No, it's an ashram. It's a bona fide ashram. You have to understand it from the proper perspective. It's not Maya. Again, husband and wife, when they're working together for the pleasure of the Lordship, we wouldn't be born if our parents were not married. Let's just put it simply. So the very reason that we are able to receive a human form of body is because there is an ashram that enables. And again, there are many writings. I'm thinking of the references. There are 2 references that exist, which actually glorifies the grahasthashram, because when they're focusing on the pleasure of the Lordship, it's the same ashram is called grahasthashram. But when they are focus is sense gratification, then it becomes grahamedhis, the people in
Canto
that
7
ashram.
talks
Yes.
about it. And as we go through different cantos, even in the teachings of Lord Kapila,
Yes.
at length, this is elaborated how. I really like your point, actually, Braj Radha. That was a very nice reminder to everyone that there are no impediments to
Yes.
devotional service.
Exactly.
So, but as long as one is struggling in different modes, so they may have momentary or longer period of forgetfulness about that. and they may start seeing things and people around them causing impediments. So it is at that stage where, one can prayerfully at least remember to seek help. And one can, of course, benefit from instructions of the seniors, Guru, Krishna, and that's what we discussed today. So
Yeah.
we really appreciated you presented so many points
Yes.
nicely.
I just want to share Principle 12 in this Reflections book by His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. Principle 12, again, these are the 64 principles given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, on which His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, he first gave lectures, and then His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaj further elaborated.
So
He
this
said,
book is actually
Reflection on the Sacred Teachings
64 principles for community.
by Srila
Okay.
Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's writing. A pure devotee knows that everyone is a spiritual master. Therefore, a pure devotee can be Jagat Guru. To many people, when they read this, it looks very contradictory, right? But in reality, who is the Adi Guru? Again, we know Lord Balaram is the Adi Guru, right? He also appears as Nityananda Prabhu. He appears as Lakshman. And at the last moment before dying, when Ravan was on the field, what did Ram ask to Lakshman? It's in Valmiki Ramayana given. He asked Lakshman to approach Ravan to get knowledge, because Ravan is a Brahmana. So when Srila Prabhupada writes, the Brahmanas are the spiritual masters. Adi Guru is showing us, in a sense, by showing the practice, that yes, he's approaching Ravan to get it, but he's also showing how not to approach and what's the proper way to approach. First, Lakshman goes and stands near the head, because, Ravan is the defeated party, and asks for the knowledge. Ravan looks at him, he doesn't say anything. Then Ram indicates to Lakshman, and Lakshman goes and stands near the feet, and then Ravan sees him and says, yes, I'll give you the knowledge. And he imparts that knowledge of Brahma Vidya to Lakshman. So everyone, we can learn from everyone. We can learn humility from Madhvacharya Prabhu. We can learn patience and collaboration from Jiva Mataji and Ekvirya Prabhu. We can learn organization skills by Prem Sindhu Prabhu. We can learn, that depth, that gravity from Chaitanya Prabhu. And we can learn how to be so compassionate by Kunti Prabhus and all the wonderful devotees who are here. Hare Krishna.
Hare
So
Krishna.
we all have
So, and
so
we
much to learn.
read about 24 gurus, and basically we
Yes.
learn so much from our own children also.
Yes.
So, yeah, wonderful. Anyone else who wants to make a comment or anything they want to say?
Yes.
You are most welcome to do that. And Prem Sindhu Prabhu is monitoring the time.
Yeah. Nityananda Taradashi is on Monday. Yes. Thank you, Brajal.
Yeah, it's being celebrated on Sunday
Sunday,
at the temple.
yes.
All right.
Okay, I don't see any other questions. So if there are no questions, I hand over it to Madhvacharya Prabhu.
I'm almost speechless. This was so beautiful. Such a nice conversation. Such a nice conversation. Today is kind of cloudy and dreary, and it's the middle of winter, but with this type of association and conversation, the day is much brighter. You know what I mean? I mean, it just really lightens me up and enthuses me. I'm gonna go and talk to Kunti, and we're gonna have nice conversations about the stuff that you guys talked about. And so really, thank you so much. I'm really happy. Really happy. Thank you.
See, you're all smiling faces and sensing your happiness. We feel very happy. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
For the
Hare
opportunity.
Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that
See you
beautiful
next-
thing.
see you
Oh,
next
thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You're amazing. Thank you.
So we all will celebrate Lord Nityananda's celebrate Lord Nityananda tomorrow at the temple, but
Yes.
Monday
They
will
are
come.
doing Abhishek also on Sunday?
I think so. It's 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. So they have
Yes.
kirtan.
They have Kirtan only, but I think the Abhishek is on Monday evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
They have 6-hour kirtan for Lord Nityananda's appearance on Sunday, but Monday evening they'll be doing the Abhishek. That's what I think. Yeah.
So next week, it's the temple opening anniversary program. We won't have class for next week. We'll just gather and honor that. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. So good to see you all. Thank you, Jiva Tattva and AnandaRupa once more. Thank you, Raj Nekavir. Thank you, Prema Sindhu, for making this forum possible and available for us. And Chaitanya and Kunti and Mother, I saw Mother Mitravinda and Mother Yashoda and everyone who's here. Thank you all for
So many. Shalagram, who joins
Shalagram,
consistently. Yeah, we really appreciate
Saradia.
you.
Yeah.
Saturday, of course, so many wonderful devotees. Your association is so valuable to us. Thank you.
Yeah. We live off of it. It sustains us. Thank you so much.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful week.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Vibhyo Namo Namaha.
Namo Namah.